I found out my fiancée was texting her ex while I worked overtime for our wedding, so I cancelled everything and walked away. I still can't believe we got the Rosewood Gardens, she said, excitement flickering in her voice. I smiled, tightening my grip on the steering wheel. Told you I'd make it happen. You've been dreaming about that place since we started planning. She laughed softly. You're insane. Do you even know how much they charge for those weekend bookings? Yeah, I chuckled. That's why I've been working overtime. Double shifts, extra clients, no weekends, all for you. Her smile faded a little. You don't have to kill yourself over it. It's not killing myself, I said. It's building something for us. She turned her gaze to the window. I just don't want our wedding to feel forced. I frowned. Forced? You've been talking about this day since forever. I know, she sighed. It's just, a lot lately. Work, my family, everything. I glanced at her. You sure that's all it is? She hesitated, then forced a laugh. What else would it be? You're overthinking again. Her words stung, not because they were harsh, but because they were empty. She used to reach for my hand whenever I doubted something. Now, she just brushed it off like I was asking too much. That night, after another 12-hour shift, I sat in bed beside her. She was on her phone, the glow lighting her face. What are you reading? I asked softly. Pinterest ideas for table settings, she said, not looking up. I smiled. Show me. She hesitated before turning the screen toward me, elegant flower arrangements, golden candles, the usual. I nodded approvingly. Beautiful. Just like you said. She smiled faintly. You really think this will all work out, huh? Of course, I said. We've come this far. I'm not stopping now. Her thumbs moved over her phone again. You're too optimistic sometimes. I tried to laugh it off. That's my job, you worry about napkins, I'll handle the rest. She didn't laugh. The silence stretched between us, thin and uncomfortable. At work, the next day, I checked my phone during lunch, no text from her. A month ago, she'd text every few hours. Little things. Miss you already. Don't forget lunch. Only you could make spreadsheets sound sexy. Now, nothing. I finally sent a message. You okay? Haven't heard from you all day. 10 minutes later, she replied. Just busy. Don't worry. Something about the period at the end made my stomach twist. She never used periods. Her texts used to have hearts, smileys, little jokes. Now it felt like she was writing to a stranger. That evening, I came home late again. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Hey, I said, dropping my bag. Long day? She murmured. You eat? Not yet. I brought takeout, I said, setting the bags down. Your favorite, Thai. She didn't look up. I'm not really hungry. I sat beside her, forcing a smile. Come on, you love this stuff. You've been talking about that curry for weeks. Can you not? She said suddenly, setting her phone down. Not what? Act like everything's perfect. You've been gone all the time, and then you just show up like this fixes it. I blinked. I'm doing this for us. You said you wanted your dream wedding, the place, the decor, everything. I wanted you, she snapped. Not some exhausted version who can't even stay awake for dinner. Her words hit like a slap. I looked at her, speechless. You think I like being tired? You think I don't wish I could be home earlier? She sighed. Forget it. I'm just stressed. Then talk to me, I said quietly. Please. But she didn't. She just picked up her phone again and scrolled, shutting me out. Later that night, I sat in the kitchen alone, eating the cold curry. My phone buzzed, a text from her, sent from the bedroom. Sorry. I'm just tired. Love you. I stared at the message for a long time. It didn't feel like love. It felt like an apology to avoid a conversation. I opened my notebook, the one I used for budgeting the wedding, and flipped to a blank page. My pen hovered for a moment before I wrote. I want to believe this is just stress. That she's still the same girl who danced barefoot in our living room and said she'd marry me anywhere, even under the stars. But lately, I can't shake the feeling that I'm the only one still trying. The next morning, she kissed my cheek before I left for work. Don't overwork yourself, okay? Her lips were soft but her eyes were somewhere else. I'll try, I said. Just a few more weeks. I promise, after the wedding, we'll have time again. Just us. She smiled faintly. Sure. Just us. As I walked out the door, something inside me whispered that just us didn't mean the same thing anymore. And though I didn't know it then, that whisper would soon turn into the sound of my heart breaking. I came home early that night, the smell of burnt coffee still clinging to my jacket. The apartment lights were dim, her laughter faint from the bedroom. I smiled, until I saw the glow of her phone light up her face, that small grin she didn't give me anymore. Hey, I said quietly, setting my keys on the counter. Who's got you smiling like that? She startled, then turned her phone screen down. Oh, just work stuff. Work's funny now. I tried to joke, but my voice cracked in a way that didn't sound playful. She frowned. Can't I just laugh without being interrogated? I didn't mean it like that, I said, sitting on the edge of the couch. It's just, you've been busy lately. Late nights, new habits. She sighed, her tone sharper than before. You're overthinking again. You always do that when things get stressful. I stared at the coffee table, tracing invisible circles with my finger. I just miss how we used to talk. You used to tell me everything. I still do, she replied quickly, standing to grab her purse. But not every text needs an explanation, right? Her words hung between us like smoke, thin, invisible, choking. Of course, I muttered. I trust you. She paused by the door, glanced back with that tired smile that used to melt me. Good. Because if you don't trust me, what's the point of all this? That stung. I opened my mouth to respond, but she was already gone. The click of the door echoed like an answer I didn't want to hear. The next evening, I noticed her phone again. It was always near her hand, face down, buzzing softly. You've been getting a lot of messages lately, I said carefully. She looked up from the mirror, applying lipstick even though we had nowhere to go. I told you, it's work. My team's been crazy busy. At midnight? Her reflection met mine in the glass. You think I'm lying? No, I said too fast. I don't want us to drift apart because of stress. She laughed, a quick, hollow sound. You're making drama out of nothing, like always. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was being dramatic. I'd been working overtime, barely sleeping, thinking about color themes and guest lists and cake tastings, all for her dream wedding. Maybe the distance was my fault. Maybe she was just tired. But that night, when her phone buzzed again, and I saw her lips curl into a quiet smile, the thought burned my chest. Who's that? I asked softly. She didn't look up. Stop asking me that. No, she cut me off, her tone firm now. You need to stop. I swallowed hard. I'm not accusing you of anything. But you sound like you are. Her voice had that mix of guilt and irritation that made me second-guess everything. I'm sorry, I said finally. I didn't mean to make it weird. She turned to me, eyes tired. Then stop treating me like I'm doing something wrong. I nodded, forcing a smile. Okay. I trust you. She exhaled in relief and kissed my cheek. But it felt different, brief, mechanical, like she was silencing doubt instead of showing love. When she went to the shower, her phone buzzed again. I stared at it from across the room, the screen lighting up with a name I couldn't read. My chest tightened. I could have checked. I wanted to. But I didn't. Instead, I whispered to myself, you're not that guy. You trust her. Later, she lay beside me scrolling through her phone under the blanket. I pretended to sleep. Every soft notification tone made my pulse jump. Good night, she said quietly, without looking up. Good night, I murmured, eyes closed, mind wide awake. In the darkness, I replayed her smile, her defensiveness, her sudden silence when I entered a room. Maybe love wasn't supposed to feel this heavy. Maybe I'd already lost her, and just hadn't accepted it yet. Still, I told myself one last time before sleep took me, it's just work. She said it's just work. But deep down, I already knew, something was off. Her phone buzzed again. It was late, close to midnight, and she was in the shower. The sound echoed through the apartment, faint but sharp enough to catch my attention. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I wouldn't look. I'd already promised I trusted her. But the screen lit up. I glanced, just a glance, but the message froze me. Can't wait to see you again. Same place? My chest tightened, heartbeat roaring in my ears. I blinked, convinced I'd misread. But the name glowed clearly on the screen, Amir. Her ex. The one she said was just a mistake from her past. My hand trembled as I picked up the phone. I shouldn't have. But I did. Another message popped up. You looked beautiful today. He doesn't deserve you. My vision blurred. My throat felt dry. I opened their chat. The screen filled with months of messages, late-night texts, heart emojis, voice notes. Amir, you still think about me? Her, sometimes. But I shouldn't. Amir, I still know what you like. Same perfume? Her, you always remember the little things. Every line sliced deeper. I scrolled further, desperate to find one, just one, message that proved it was harmless. Something innocent. Something I could forgive. But all I found were secrets. Plans. Laughter. Promises. And then, the picture. A selfie of her, smiling softly, taken in the same dress she wore last week when she told me she was meeting a friend from work. I dropped the phone. The sound echoed off the floor, louder than the shower running in the next room. I sat down, head spinning, staring at the glowing screen. My mind screamed, this isn't real. She wouldn't do this. But the evidence was right there. The woman I was about to marry had been living a double life, one where I was just the backup plan. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was a shaky whisper. Why? The water stopped. I froze. My heart pounded so loud I could barely breathe. Her footsteps approached, slow, casual, humming a tune like nothing was wrong. The door creaked open. Hey, she said softly, towel around her hair. You're still awake? I stared at the phone on the floor. Yeah. Couldn't sleep. She smiled faintly. You've been overthinking again, haven't you? Maybe, I said quietly. Or maybe I just needed to see the truth. Her eyes followed my gaze to the phone. The color drained from her face. You went through my phone? I didn't mean to, I said, voice breaking. It just buzzed. And I saw his name. She froze, then tried to sound calm. It's not what you think. I laughed, a raw, broken sound. Then what is it? Because from here, it looks like you've been seeing him for months. He's just a friend, she said quickly, stepping closer. I swear, it's nothing. Nothing? I picked up the phone, showing her the screen. This looks like something. Can't wait to see you again. You looked beautiful today. That's nothing? Her lip trembled. I didn't mean for it to go that far. So it did go that far? I snapped. Tears filled her eyes. I was lonely. You were always working, always gone. I just needed someone to talk to. My chest felt like it might collapse. I was working for us. For our wedding. For you. She tried to touch my hand, but I pulled away. I didn't sleep with him, she whispered, desperate. I don't care if you did or didn't, I said, voice shaking. You chose him when you let him fill the space that was mine. She covered her face, sobbing. I'm sorry, okay? I don't know how it happened. I stood, pacing. You texted him. You laughed with him. You hid it from me. That doesn't just happen. She looked up, eyes red. If you really loved me, you'd forgive me. That hit like a slap. I stared at her, stunned. You're blaming me? I'm not blaming you, she said weakly. I'm just saying, you pushed me away. I couldn't even speak. My hands shook. My voice came out barely above a whisper. I gave you everything. Every hour, every breath, every dream. And you still reached for him. She cried harder, clutching her towel. Please, don't throw everything away. It was a mistake. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the texts, those words, those emojis, those plans, kept flashing in my mind like fire. You already did, I said quietly. She sobbed, kneeling beside me. Please. We can fix this. There's no we left, I whispered. You already gave us to someone else. Silence filled the room, thick, suffocating. She reached for me again. Say something. I looked at her, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, and all I could say was, I don't even know who you are anymore. Her tears fell faster. I love you. No, I said, voice cracking. You love the idea of being loved. There's a difference. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Amir. Thinking of you. Miss you already. She gasped. Please, don't read that. But I already had. I set the phone down slowly and whispered, you can tell him I finally got the message. And for the first time since I met her, she didn't have anything left to say. Morning light spilled across the room like nothing had happened, as if the world didn't shatter last night. She was standing by the counter, making coffee, humming softly. Like she hadn't ripped my heart open hours ago. I walked in, holding her phone. We need to talk. Her hands froze. Can we not do this right now? I have to get ready for work. No, I said, voice firm but trembling. We're doing this now. She sighed, setting the cup down. You're still angry. Angry? I laughed bitterly. I barely slept. I kept hearing your messages in my head. You looked beautiful today. Can't wait to see you again. How do you sleep after that? She looked down, avoiding my eyes. You weren't supposed to see those. I wasn't supposed to. I echoed. So that makes it okay? She ran a hand through her hair. It wasn't what you think. I met him once. That's all. I stared at her. You met him? Her voice softened, defensive. I needed closure, okay? I wanted to make sure I was over him before marrying you. The words hit like a slap. You needed closure from your ex while planning a wedding with me? She winced. It sounds worse than it was. It is worse than it sounds, I said, slamming her phone on the counter. You could have talked to me. You could have said you were confused. Instead, you snuck around, sent pictures, and lied. I didn't lie, she shot back. I just didn't tell you. I stared at her in disbelief. That's the same thing. She folded her arms, voice shaky but cold. I didn't mean to hurt you. It didn't mean anything. I stepped closer, eyes burning. Then why do I feel like my whole life just collapsed? If it meant nothing, why did you hide it? She looked away. Because you'd overreact. Just like now. My breath caught. You call this an overreaction? You betrayed me. You let another man tell you he missed you, and you didn't stop him. Her lip trembled. I told him not to text me again. When? I asked sharply. Last week, she whispered. I felt a hollow laugh escape me. So you were still talking to him last week? She rubbed her temples. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was stressed, okay? Planning the wedding, working, feeling like I couldn't breathe. So you found air in someone else's arms? I snapped. Tears welled in her eyes. He made me feel understood. You were always gone. I was gone building the life you wanted. I shouted. Every overtime shift, every sleepless night, every plan, all for you. She flinched. I didn't ask for all that. My voice cracked. You didn't have to. I wanted to give you everything. But I guess you wanted something I couldn't give, the thrill of being wanted by someone new. She shook her head. It wasn't like that. I leaned forward, voice low. Then tell me, what was it like? Texting him while I worked late? Laughing at his jokes? Meeting him behind my back? Her tears spilled. Stop. Please. No, I said softly. You don't get to cry your way out of this. She turned away, whispering, You're being cruel. I clenched my fists. No. I'm being honest. You were cruel when you made me believe we were happy. She grabbed a tissue, trembling. You don't understand. I was scared. We were moving too fast. We? I repeated. You mean me. You were scared of marrying me. Her silence said everything. I swallowed hard. Just say it. You didn't want me anymore. She shook her head quickly. No, I did. I got confused. Confused? I whispered. You weren't confused, you were caught. Her shoulders sagged. You don't know how lonely I felt. I stared at her, bitter laughter escaping. Lonely? You had me. Every single day, I tried to make you feel loved. You wanted the dream wedding, the perfect photos, the house, I worked for all of it. And the whole time, you were slipping away. She wiped her tears. I didn't mean for this to happen. But it did happen, I said. And now we're here. The silence stretched between us, thick and painful. Finally, she whispered, Can we fix it? I met her eyes, searching for something, regret, love, anything real. Fix what? The messages? The lies? Or the fact that I don't even recognize you anymore? She took a shaky step forward. I still love you. I shook my head. No. You love the comfort I gave you. The version of me that made your life easy. She whispered, I made a mistake. You made choices, I said quietly. And every one of them led you back to him. Her voice cracked. I didn't sleep with him. I know, I said flatly. That almost makes it worse. She frowned. How? Because it means you chose to betray me with words, not weakness, I said. You let him into your heart while I was breaking my back to prove mine. She covered her face, sobbing. Please, I'm sorry. I took a deep breath. My anger was giving way to exhaustion. You don't get it. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Her eyes widened. Done? Yeah, I whispered. I can't marry someone who's halfway gone. She reached out, desperate. Don't throw this away. I stepped back. You already did. Her tears fell silently, mixing with the coffee she'd spilled on the counter. I turned to leave, my chest heavy but clear. Behind me, she said weakly, What will you tell people? I paused at the door. The truth, I said. That I worked overtime for our dream, and you gave your heart to him. And before she could say another word, I walked out. The days after the confrontation felt like they bled into each other, gray, heavy, and endless. I'd wake up, stare at the ceiling, and realize I hadn't really slept. Food lost its taste, music felt like noise, and silence became unbearable. My phone buzzed again, William. For the 5th time today. I let it ring. When the 6th call came, I finally answered. Yeah? His voice was cautious. You sound dead, man. I probably am, I muttered. Don't say that, he said quickly. I'm coming over. I don't want company. Tough, he replied. You're getting it. 15 minutes later, the door opened without knocking. William had a spare key from when we used to game all night. He stepped in, looked around, and sighed. Damn, you look worse than my finals week. I didn't respond. He glanced at the clutter, untouched takeout boxes, her photo still on the wall. You've been sitting here like this since it happened? Mostly. He walked over and yanked the photo down. Step 1, stop living in a shrine. Put that back, I said quietly. No, he snapped. She doesn't deserve a place here anymore. I clenched my jaw. You don't understand. Then make me understand, he said, sitting opposite me. What's going on in your head? I rubbed my face. I don't even know. I thought anger would help, but it doesn't. I don't even hate her. I just don't know how to feel. That's normal, he said. You gave everything. It takes time to realize the person you built your world around was already halfway out the door. I stared at the floor. I keep thinking maybe I missed something. Maybe I could have done more. Stop that, he said sharply. Don't rewrite history just to make her betrayal make sense. I'm not trying to excuse her, I whispered. I just want to understand why. William leaned forward. Because people like her don't value quiet loyalty. They chase excitement. You were her stability, but she mistook it for boredom. That hurts, I said. It's supposed to, he replied. But it also sets you free. I looked at him. Free? I feel like I'm chained to the memories. Then start breaking them, he said. One by one. I let out a bitter laugh. Easier said than done. He stood and opened the fridge. When was the last time you ate? I don't remember. He shook his head. Man, she took your appetite, your sleep, your peace, don't let her take your damn self too. I stayed quiet. He sat back down, voice soft now. Listen. Don't beg for someone who chose someone else. That's not love. That's self-destruction. His words lingered in the air. I finally said, I wasn't going to beg. I just thought love meant fighting for what you want. It does, he said. But not when the other person's already left the battlefield. I looked at the photo frame lying face down on the table. She said she still loved me. He scoffed. People say anything to ease their guilt. Love isn't words, man. It's what they do when no one's watching. I swallowed hard. So what do I do now? You survive, he said. Then you heal. And maybe one day, you'll love again, smarter. He stood to leave, placing a hand on my shoulder. Get out of this place tomorrow. Go for a walk. Do something that reminds you you're still alive. After he left, silence filled the room again. But this time, it wasn't comforting, it was loud. Every sound, the hum of the fridge, the ticking clock, even my heartbeat, felt like reminders that time was still moving even if I wasn't. I picked up my phone. Her last text was still there, I'm sorry. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I stared at it for a long time before deleting the thread. The screen went blank, and for a moment, I felt like I'd erased a piece of myself too. That night, I sat by the window, watching city lights flicker. My reflection in the glass looked older, not by years, but by heartbreak. I whispered to myself, I don't even hate her. I just wish she'd been honest. I wish I hadn't wasted my faith on someone who didn't want to keep it. My voice cracked, but no one heard. I used to think love was about holding on, I murmured. But maybe it's about knowing when to let go. I closed my eyes and breathed deeply. The air was heavy, but for the first time in days, I didn't feel like I was suffocating. Maybe letting go wasn't about forgetting her, maybe it was about remembering myself. I stood, walked to the door, and opened it. Cold air hit my face, clearing the fog a little. Tomorrow, I'd start small, maybe coffee somewhere new, maybe a jog. Something that wasn't about her. As I shut off the lights, I whispered one last time, I won't fight for what's already broken. And for the first time since it all began, that felt like peace. The morning light cut through the blinds, falling across the invitation card still scattered on my table. Her name beside mine, embossed in gold. I stared at it for a long time before picking up my phone. My fingers trembled as I dialed the first number. Good morning, this is Lily from Evermore Weddings, a cheerful voice answered. I swallowed hard. Hi, Lily. This is Eric. I need to cancel the booking. There was a brief pause. Oh. I'm so sorry to hear that. May I ask the reason? The bride changed her mind, I said softly. The words came out steady, but inside, I felt something quietly break again. I understand, she said, her tone shifting to sympathy. Unfortunately, the deposit is non-refundable, I finished for her. It's okay. Consider it settled. She hesitated. Are you sure you're all right? I smiled bitterly, though she couldn't see it. Not really. But I will be. When I hung up, my chest felt heavy yet strangely clear. One by one, I made the rest of the calls, the florist, the photographer, the caterer. The florist answered next. Bloom and Vine, this is Amina speaking. Hi, Amina. I need to cancel the flower order for the Conraza wedding. Oh no, what happened? She asked, her voice full of genuine concern. The bride changed her mind, I repeated. She sighed. That's awful. I'll process the paperwork. Do you still want the bouquet? It's already been prepared. No, I said after a pause. Let someone else have it. Maybe someone whose story isn't ending. I hung up and leaned back in my chair. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the fan. My phone buzzed, it was the venue manager. Mr. Khan, he began politely, I got your message about the cancellation. I'm really sorry. We've hosted many weddings, and it's always hard hearing news like this. It's fine, I said quietly. You don't have to apologize. He hesitated. Would you like to reschedule? Maybe next year? I almost laughed. No. No, next year. A pause. I understand. I hope you're okay. I'm not, I replied. But I'm not sorry either. He didn't know what to say after that. Neither did I. When the call ended, I sat there for a while, staring at the empty coffee mug in front of me. My best friend Ollie called just then. Did you do it? Yeah, I said. Everything's cancelled. He exhaled softly. How do you feel? I thought for a moment. Lighter, I said. Like I've been carrying something that wasn't mine to hold. He was silent for a few seconds. You did the right thing, bro. Sometimes letting go isn't losing, it's finally stopping the bleeding. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I used to think the wedding would be the best day of my life. Turns out, this might be instead. He chuckled faintly. That's deep. You writing quotes now? Maybe, I said, half smiling. Maybe I'm just done pretending everything's fine. After we hung up, I started packing. Every box I sealed felt like a chapter closing. The apartment echoed as I moved through it, her laughter still lingered in the corners, her perfume faint on the pillow. I paused by the closet. Her dress wasn't there anymore, just the empty hanger where it used to be. Guess it's really over, I whispered to myself. Outside, the air smelled different. Clean. Free. I loaded the last box into my car and took one final look at the place that had held our dreams. When my landlord came by, he asked, so, moving out early? Yeah, I said. Needed a change. He nodded. New beginnings, huh? I smiled faintly. Something like that. Driving away, I didn't look back. The road stretched ahead, open and uncertain. For the first time in months, I wasn't chasing anyone, not her, not the past, not the version of me that kept hoping. As the city faded in my rearview mirror, I whispered to myself, maybe the best day of my life wasn't the one I planned with her. Maybe it's today, the day I chose myself. It had been 4 months since I last heard her voice. By then, the silence had turned from something that hurt into something that healed. My mornings were calm, my nights quiet. I'd learned to breathe without the weight of her memory pressing down on my chest. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. Her name appeared, Abby. For a moment, my heart hesitated, caught between the ghost of old pain and the peace I'd finally built. I stared at the screen, debating. Then, against better judgment, I answered. Her voice cracked the moment she spoke. Eric, can we talk? I stayed silent for a few seconds before replying, we already did, remember? You just didn't listen back then. I know, she whispered. I know I don't deserve this call, but please. I just need a minute. I exhaled. You've got one. There was a sound of quiet sobbing on the other end. He's gone, she said finally. The one I thought I loved. He stopped answering. Just disappeared. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I needed closure, but he used me. Her voice broke. I made a mistake, Eric. A huge one. I closed my eyes, letting her words hang in the air. For the first time, they didn't sting. They didn't cut me open the way they once would have. I'm sorry, she continued, for everything. For lying, for breaking what we had. You didn't deserve that. I know, I said simply. She went quiet. You're different, she murmured. Colder. I'm not cold, I said. Just healed. I never wanted to hurt you, she said. You have to believe that. I used to, I replied softly. Back when your words meant something. There was a pause. Then she said, can we meet? Please. Just talk. No expectations. I shook my head, though she couldn't see it. Abby, there's nothing left to talk about. You made a choice. I lived with it. Now I'm finally okay. Her breathing grew shaky. I can't stop thinking about what we had. Every night I wonder if you could ever forgive me. I already did, I said. But forgiveness isn't an invitation back. She started crying again, and for a second, I thought of all the nights I'd cried like that, alone, clutching my chest, wondering how love could vanish so quickly. Now the roles had reversed, but instead of satisfaction, I felt nothing. Eric, she said between tears, please don't hang up. I need you to know I never stopped caring. Then why did you leave? I asked quietly. Why did you smile at his texts while I stayed up working extra hours for our life together? I was stupid, she whispered. He made me feel wanted, and I thought that meant love. And now? I asked. Now I know it didn't, she said. It was all fake. He never loved me. I sighed. Maybe that's karma, Abby. Maybe it's not punishment, just a lesson you had to learn the hard way. Her sobs deepened. Do you hate me? I looked out the window at the city lights. No, I said. I don't have space for hate anymore. I used to carry it, but it only kept me chained to you. You sound so calm, she whispered. Peaceful, I corrected. There's a difference. She sniffled. Do you ever think about us? Sometimes, I admitted. But it's like remembering someone else's life. Feels distant, like watching an old movie where I already know the ending. I wish I could go back, she said. Fix it. Start again. You can't, I replied. And even if you could, I wouldn't let you. She fell silent. I could hear her trying to steady her breathing. I guess I deserve that. You deserve to grow, I said. Just like I did. There was a long pause, and then she whispered, you really moved on, didn't you? I had to, I said. Otherwise, I'd still be waiting for you to love me the way I loved you. Her next words came out in a whisper. I never thought you'd let go. Neither did I said, almost smiling. But pain changes people. Turns them into something stronger. I hope you find someone better, she said finally. I already did, I replied. Myself. She went quiet again, no sobs, no words, just silence heavy enough to say everything. After a few seconds, I ended the call. My hands didn't shake this time. My chest didn't ache. I just sat there, listening to the faint hum of the world outside. Her tears didn't move me anymore, they only reminded me why I left. And for the first time, I realized, closure doesn't always come from someone saying sorry. Sometimes, it comes from realizing you don't need their apology to feel free. The first morning in my new apartment felt different. No trace of her perfume in the air, no ghost of laughter in the hallways, just silence. But it wasn't the heavy kind anymore. It was clean, light, like a deep breath I'd been holding for too long. I stood by the window, looking out at the small street below where the sun painted everything gold. My phone buzzed, a message from William. Coffee later, he wrote. Sure, I replied. My treat. Business finally got its first client. He called instantly. You serious? Yeah, I laughed. A real one. Paid deposit and everything. See, he said. Told you, bro. You're finally building your own thing. I'm trying, I said, glancing at the boxes of design prints scattered on my desk. Feels strange though, like I'm learning how to live all over again. That's what healing looks like, William said. Uncomfortable at first, then it fits better than before. I smiled. You sound like a therapist. Please, he chuckled. Just a friend who's seen you survive the worst. After we hung up, I sat for a while, sipping my coffee, thinking about everything I'd lost, and everything I'd gained back in pieces. The old me would have been drowning in regret. Now, I was learning to swim in peace. Later that evening, I took a walk. My steps, almost unconsciously, led me toward the old wedding venue, the one I'd cancelled months ago. The fairy lights were still strung up across the gate, glowing faintly. A wedding was happening inside. I could hear laughter and music drifting through the open doors. I stopped outside. Not out of sadness, but curiosity, to see how it felt to stand there again. Sir, are you attending the ceremony? A guard asked politely. I shook my head. No, just passing by. He nodded, smiling. Beautiful place, isn't it? Yeah, I said. It is. The laughter from inside reached me again. For a moment, I remembered how I'd imagined our own night here, the decorations, the music, her smile. But instead of pain, a calm smile found me. She broke me, I whispered to myself. But in the cracks, I found my real self. The words didn't feel rehearsed. They felt like truth, one I'd earned through fire. My phone buzzed again. It was Sarah, a client who'd turned into a friend over the past few weeks. Don't forget our meeting tomorrow, she texted. I smiled. Wouldn't miss it, I replied. She'd been kind, patient, too. We talked about books, art, small joys. She never asked about my past, and I never volunteered it. Maybe that's what made it easy. No expectations, no masks, just two people sharing peace. As I stood there, I realized I didn't need grand love stories anymore. What I wanted was steady laughter, quiet mornings, and a heart that didn't race from fear of being left behind. A couple walked past me into the venue, hand in hand. The woman glanced at me briefly, smiling as if she saw something familiar, maybe hope, maybe closure. I smiled back. I turned to leave, feeling the cool night air wrap around me like a soft goodbye. My heart didn't ache anymore. It simply beat, steady, sure, alive. When I got home, I sat at my desk, opened my notebook, and wrote a single line at the top of a fresh page. Maybe I didn't lose her, maybe I just found myself in time. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to write more. That one line said everything I'd been trying to understand since the day my world fell apart. I closed the notebook, looked around my little apartment, bare walls, simple furniture, a stack of dreams waiting to unfold, and smiled. Peace, I realized, wasn't a place or a person. It was the moment you stopped waiting for closure and decided to be your own ending. And that night, I finally did.